hope you enjoy it.
So today we are going to look at writing, and we are going to deal with the most problematic items for a student, which is writing an essay. So, first of all, of course, all of you ask yourself this question: can I write an essay? And when you ask yourself this question, you have to think of the answer. Of course, when we deal with an essay, you have to be sure that you have some background ideas about the topic. You know something about the topic. So don't think that whenever you read a topic or whenever they tell you write an essay that it is a problem, that it is difficult. No, you have to read the topic and make sure that you know some background about the topic. You know something about the topic. Also, you have to tell yourself that I'm sure I have some ideas about the topic. You know something about the topic. Talk to yourself, encourage yourself. So whenever you find the topic about anything, you have to talk to yourself. Make sure that you have some background about the topic, that you have some ideas about the topic, and you have to talk to yourself about it, and of course to encourage yourself. Be self-confident. You may be worried. This is normal. It's normal, but never feel scared. So try to encourage yourself. Try to say that you are good and you are going to write very good essay. It's not a problem. And of course, don't feel scared. So at the end, yes, of course, I can write an essay. Okay? So if we look at essays, then essays are not so difficult. They are not so hard to deal with. They are manageable. And just ask yourself this question: can I write an essay? And you will find yourself that yes, you can write an essay after knowing the background about the topic, ideas about the topic, talking to yourself, okay? And then, of course, encourage yourself, and the most important thing is to be self-confident. Writing process. What do we mean by writing process? Okay, if I tell you that we are going to deal now with the writing process, the first thing is what to write, how to write, how to improve my writing. So the first point when we talk about writing process is what to write. And of course, what to write, this has to do with the topic itself. How to write it, which means how to get all the ideas and write it in sentences and then paragraphs and form your paragraphs. And then when I write everything, how to improve my writing, how to make it better. How can I start? Always this is the main problem for any person who wants to write anything. How can I start writing? And as you can see from the illustration here, the person is thinking and thinking hard, okay? So pre-writing, we call that pre-writing. And you have to think about whatever you are going to write. And by the way, I would like to tell you that this is not your problem only. We as teachers have problems with writing. We have to think and think hard. Any person who's going to write something should think and do these steps which we are going to talk about now. So the first point is pre-writing. How can I start writing? First, read the topic. Second point, read the topic again. So it's not the first time that you read the topic, you feel that you will know the topic and things will be easy about it. No, you have to read it again and try to understand each word. Then, of course, after reading the topic for 2 times, you'll have some ideas and words start jumping into your mind. Okay, so you'll find after reading the topic, let's say for 2 times, and trying to know more about the topic while just reading it, you will find some ideas and words starting to jump to your mind. So you try to capture these ideas, okay? So you try to capture them, you try to catch them. Okay, how? And this is a very good question. So let's say this is like a dialogue between you and yourself. How to catch these ideas? How to form them? So if we look at the first stage of writing, which is pre-writing, and of course in pre-writing you have to think, and the most important thing is to read the topic for more once and twice. You have to read it and read it carefully, okay? And then you'll find these ideas and words coming into your mind, okay? And then you try to catch them. And now we will see how to catch these ideas and words. So in the pre-writing stage, we are going to look at catching ideas now. Did you see the illustration? What is this girl doing? She's thinking and she's trying to write the ideas she's going to, the ideas which will jump into her mind. First of all, what to write? Of course, you have to write everything that comes to your mind. Forget about accuracy. And what do we mean by accuracy? Means correct things, okay? Everything correct, like spelling, structure, punctuation, the formation of the sentences, the formation of the paragraphs. So you just forget about that for now, okay? So whatever you write, the first stage is you write everything that comes into your mind, okay? Just write. And then also when you write, you forget about organizing ideas. Just write the ideas you have into your mind, okay? So you don't have to think of correct sentences now, correct ideas, the flow of ideas. Just forget about them in this step, okay? Which is of course pre-writing. Again, now remember that we are catching our ideas. We read the topic, we know about the topic, and we are trying to catch the ideas we have, which are all jumping into our minds. So we don't look at accuracy. I don't care about spelling. I don't care about grammar, about structure, about organizing ideas. I just write what ideas I had into my mind. By this way, I am catching the ideas. Again, what to write? In this case now I'm writing, I can use diagrams, I can use tables, I can use arrows, I can use circles, I can use anything, okay? To write sub-ideas or to compare between 2 things or 2 points of views. So again, I can just write one word and then I can just use arrows or use tables, use diagrams, and I think all of you know what is meant by a diagram. It's like an illustration. Okay, use anything or any kind of a illustration to write your sub-ideas, okay? And of course, you can use these things to write sub-ideas, which is another, let's say we have main idea and we have sub-idea, okay, which is helping idea or an idea which helps the main idea. Or you can compare between 2 things, which is comparison. And when we have comparison, we can use tables, okay? We can also use circles. When we have, let's say, 2 circles, they are joined together. We are comparing between this thing and that thing, and there are similarities, let's say, between them. Or you can use to compare between points of view. Let's say somebody agrees about something, somebody disagrees about something, and also there are points which are between them, between agreement or disagreement. Remember, from mind to paper, nothing can stop your thinking. Okay, so you use any of these things which we talked about now, diagrams, tables, arrows, circles, anything. in order to convert the ideas in your head to the paper in front of you. And of course, nothing can stop your thinking. So you do whatever it appeals to you, whatever it helps you, in order to get all the information which you have in your mind onto the paper. Okay, so this is again a way of all this, we are still catching our ideas. Where can I do all this? Again, a student is asking himself or herself, where can I do that? Of course, as you can see from the illustration, you can use a pen, a marker, a pencil, and a paper. So you can use any of the white pages, the back of the printed ones, any kind of a slip of a paper, you can do whatever you like on. Okay? And sure, you can use a pencil, you can use a marker, you can use a pen, whatever you like. So this, what we talked about now is the first stage in our writing process, which is catching the idea. Okay? Now, after I wrote my ideas, and after I did all the circles or the diagrams, everything is clear in my head or in front of me on a paper, what to do after that? And again, we are still talking about the writing process. What comes next? How to write it? I have the diagrams in front of me. I have the ideas jumbled here and there. So how to write this? I start to read what I wrote in front of me, and I try to select the most important ideas highly related to the topic. So how do I know that these ideas are important? Because they are highly related to the topic. So the ideas which are related to the topic, these are the most important ideas. So I don't have to use all the ideas which I wrote in the diagram or in the table. I can just use the most important ones. Okay? Also, I start writing. Again, forget about accuracy. Remember, what is accuracy? We said that it means to write everything correctly. Look at the grammar, punctuation, sentences, paragraphs, spelling. We call that accuracy. Okay? So in this stage, again, I start writing, and again, I have to forget about accuracy. I need my ideas, which I wrote in sentences or in words, to be formed into sentences. How to write this? Try to link sub-ideas to the main idea. This is the most important thing here. When I try to link the sub-ideas to the main idea, okay? So let's say I have main idea, and I have some sub-ideas. It's important to try to link them together, okay, or connect them. How to do that? Of course, first I write the main ideas, then I write the details or examples or reasons or results or whatever I have, okay? So the most important thing is to write the main idea, and then I go for the details or examples or reasons, results, causes, effects, whatever. Then I write the final copy. This is how to do it, okay? So first of all, you have the ideas. You wrote the ideas in the pre-writing stage. Now in the writing stage, or in the process of writing, you try to link the sub-ideas and the main idea together. You write the main idea, and then after that the sub-ideas are linked by writing the details or examples or reasons, results, can be contrasts, can be effects, can be whatever you like, and then you write the final copy. Now everything is written in front of me, okay? I need to improve my writing. And if you just look at the illustration, you'll find that this very nice teacher is telling you, check it out, Okay, so it's, you just check your work. And we call, by check it out, we call it edit your writing. What do we mean by edit? Mean to just review, read, okay, look at. So you review your capitalization. And what do we mean by capitalization? It means that all the words which you should write in capital letters, you should have a look at them. And I think also you know when to use capital letters. Of course, capital letters, you are to use them at the beginning of each sentence, or after a full stop, when you write names, countries, rivers, and so on. Review your punctuation. And when we talk about punctuation, we mean, again, using the full stops, commas, question mark for questions, and so on. Review your spelling, and it has to do with, of course, the words. You try to look at the spelling of the word. Sometimes you know the spelling of the word, but because you are writing it fast, you just forget that this word got E at the end, or you just confuse between E and I, which comes first, and so on. So this is how to edit your writing. You review these things. Again, you try to review tenses. And you try to stick to, let's say, one tense. If you are using present tense, you stick all your writing into the present tense. If you are using the past, then it is the past. And you have to look at your verbs. It should be, try to stick to one sentence. Okay, one tense, as we said before. So this we mean by edit your writing. After you write, it's not the main idea to write, but how to improve it, how to make it better, and of course to make your work better by just looking at these things: capitalization, punctuation, spelling, and tenses. This we call editing process. Okay, and here this student is saying spell it right, and of course if you look at the word right, it should be, yeah, we should correct it, it should be right. Okay, so the editing process, what to edit, what to correct, what to look at: grammar, as we said before, spelling, punctuation, also subject-verb agreement. Remember, in our last lesson we were talking about subject-verb agreement, and we said that a subject and a verb should agree together, and each subject should follow the verb and the verb should follow the subject. If it is singular, then the verb will be singular. If it is plural, then the verb will be plural. I think you remember this. Okay, so it's important to review the subject-verb agreement in your sentences. Review spaces between words, because what happens is that some students, they just write and they forgot to put spaces between the words, and so we can't just understand what they wrote. So if you just look at the spaces between your words and check that each word got a space before it and after it so that it can be readable. Review your spelling. Review having a topic sentence in each paragraph. So it is important to have a topic sentence, and I think you know what we mean by topic sentence here. Of course, in each paragraph it should have a topic sentence, and remember when we were dealing with reading, we said that the topic sentence in the reading passage is the most important sentence, and through it you can understand the main idea of the whole paragraph. So again, when you do writing, it's the same. You try to have a topic sentence in each paragraph. So if you wrote 2 paragraphs, let's say, you try to look for your topic sentence, the most important sentence in the paragraph, and you always try to put it at the beginning of the paragraph. Also, review having a closing sentence. So you try to have, if you have a topic sentence, then there should be a closing one. There should be a sentence which sums up whatever you talked about in the whole paragraph. Okay, So these are the things which are important in order to improve your writing. When you have to look at the subject-verb agreement, when you have to look at the spaces between the words, you have to look at your spelling, you have to have a topic sentence in each paragraph. Also, you try to have a closing sentence in each paragraph. And at the end, you try to see if your paragraph is interesting, which is, of course, you are trying to beautify your paragraph to make it more interesting for the reader. Okay, so if you find it interesting, then it's nice because the reader will enjoy reading it. All this after writing. So let's look at what we said before now. It's the pre-writing stage where you think and you get your ideas, you write them on paper, and then the writing stage itself, or the writing process, where you try to you select the ideas which you wrote and try to arrange them in a way, okay, and try to a link between the sub-ideas and the ideas, and you start writing your paragraphs, your sentences first, and then form your paragraphs. Now this stage is after writing or post-writing stage, when you have to edit your work. And we said editing means you try to read it, you try to see the mistakes or the things which need improvement, and you try to improve them. What are these things which you should improve? These are, as we said here, subject-verb agreement, which deals with grammar. Of course, spaces between words, that your words or your sentences should be readable. Also, your spelling, because most of the students, they have spelling problems. Try to have to have a topic sentence in each paragraph, a closing sentence in each paragraph, and the final thing is try to see that your paragraph is interesting. Now we are going to look together at a topic, and we are going to try it together, okay? So the topic says, a working woman can participate in the development of the society. Besides, she can look after her house and children. Agree or disagree? So what is the topic? Remember, we said in the stage of getting the ideas, okay, in the first stage, what should we do? We should try to read the topic and read it again. Okay, remember? So now I read the topic, I have to read it again to understand what I should write about. A working woman. So the most important word here is working. It's not a normal woman who sits at home, take care of her children, but a working one, a person who's working. And of course can participate in the development of the society. So it means here in this part, it means that a woman can work and of course can develop the society she's living in. Besides, also, she can look after her house and children. So can a woman work and work hard and also take care of her children? This is the topic is about that. And what do they want me to say? Do I agree or disagree? Is it okay that a woman can work and look after her children? Or if I feel that it's not okay, that a woman should stay at home and only look after her children? So of course, while you were reading this, some ideas came into your mind. So now, tell me what is in your mind. Of course, if we are going to look at this from 2 points of view, if I'm talking to a male or a man, then he will have some ideas. And of course, his ideas are going to be in the form of questions. So, have you thought of yourself as a husband to a working wife? So let's say if we are talking to a man, so he can think, or he will just think of being a husband to a wife who goes out to work. Can you see yourself at home with the kids while your wife is busy? Are you proud of your wife as a successful woman? So of course these can be the ideas which we can look at if we are talking to a male or a man. These are the things which he can think of, okay? To be a husband of a wife who's working and she's always busy. And is it okay if he takes care of the children and his wife is busy at work? And is he going to be proud of his wife to be a successful woman? If we look at this from the point of view of a female, a woman, can you depend on the maid to look after the kids and your house affairs? So is it okay that you leave, as a woman, you leave your house and your children to take care of them, a maid or a servant or a house manager? Do you want to be independent? And we mean by independent means to have your own income, you have to have your own salary, and you don't depend on men, or in other words your husband. Or who takes care of your kids' studies? So let's say if this lady is working and her work should be, let's say, in the afternoon or in the evening, who will look after her kids, her children's studies and look after them? Now, so these are the ideas, let's say, okay? How to compare now? So we can use a table of advantages and disadvantages. A table of good points, advantages, and disadvantages will be bad points or points which are not that good. So we can use here a table. And if we are going to use a table of two different things, advantages and disadvantages, then we are going to think of two separate paragraphs. Because it will be like that. One paragraph for the advantages, let's say. Another paragraph will be for the disadvantages. So you try, if you are going to look at the advantages, you try to put them all into one paragraph. Disadvantages, you put them again all in another paragraph. So you have to think of two separate paragraphs. And then in the last paragraph, you are to decide on your own attitude. So by now we are going to have 3 paragraphs, okay? So if we have advantages, disadvantages, first of all we use a table to write them, to make them clear in front of us. Then we take the advantages and put them in one paragraph, disadvantages put them into another paragraph, so that means 2. Then my own attitude, or the writer's own attitude, will be in the last paragraph. So our essay is going to be composed of 3 paragraphs. So working women here, this is our topic. First of all, if we think of the advantages. So one of the advantages is that women improve their position in society. This is one of the good points, that women are going to improve their position, their standard, their way of living in society. They can have their own salary. Of course, the advantages, we are looking at this from the point of view of the women, of course, yeah? They can do any kind of jobs because they are intelligent. So a woman can do any kind of job. Also, they can better their family's position. So it's that they can make the position of their family better. They can improve their family's position. So we have 4 points of advantages. And of course, these 4 points are different from each other. Be careful when you write points, or when you look at the advantages, you try not to repeat yourself. So you can say they can improve their position in society, they can have their own salary, they can do any kind of job, and also they can better their family's position. Now we are going to look at the disadvantages. As you can see, this is a form of a table, okay? Women could not concentrate on their homes. So if they are going to be preoccupied with their works, then it will be very hard for them to just concentrate on their homes and take care of the children. They would not need the men to support them, of course, because they are going to have their own salary, they are going to have their own money, so they wouldn't need the men to support. And here the word support means to just give them money and to buy whatever they need. They would leave all housework for the maid. Of course, a woman, if she's working all day, she's busy, she's tired, so all the housework will be done by the maid or the servant. Again, they won't look after their children because they are going to be very busy working. So again, it will be hard for them to just look after their children and take care of them because they will come very tired. They will return home tired. So again, we have another 4 points of disadvantages. So again, we don't repeat ourselves and we try to find different points in our table. So as you can see, working women, this is the topic, advantages, disadvantages. Now we wrote the sub-ideas, okay, in the form of a table. We are comparing between them and we have the advantages and disadvantages. Now what happened is that one of my students started to write, okay? And what she did is that she took the advantages, all of the advantages and put them in a paragraph. And then she took all the disadvantages and she put them in another paragraph. And the third paragraph was her own attitude. Her, of course, if she agrees or disagree, her opinion. So let's look at what she did. Of course, working woman. Now this is the first paragraph, and as we said, this is the advantages. She wrote, women can do lots of jobs and also can look after her children. She worked in many jobs and so improved their position in society. A woman is educated to help their country and not to sit in her home. Woman is intelligent, so they will help better their families' position and earn more money. So this is the first paragraph. She took all the sub-ideas which she wrote in her table of comparison or in her table of advantages and disadvantages, and she formed the first paragraph. Of course, as you can see, all the whole paragraph has no, yes, capital letters, has no punctuation, and as you can see, there are some mistakes in grammar and spelling and so on. Now in this step, I don't care about accuracy. Remember what we said before? We just take the main idea, we just take the sub-ideas, we join them together and we start writing. Correcting and editing will come later, okay? So in this case, our main idea here or our main interest is to write. Let's look at her second paragraph. Again, the second paragraph, remember we said that it's going to deal with the disadvantages. So she wrote, on the other hand, working women may not have time to look after their children. Also, all the money they earn will give to the maid in order to take care of the house. The women can do without men because they can earn their living. Again, this is what she wrote in the sub-ideas when she was capturing or catching her ideas when she did the disadvantages table. Okay? And the last paragraph, now this is her own opinion. So she said, finally, women can do many things, and if she can work and look after their children, their homes, then let it be. So I agree about women's work. So at the end, her attitude was that she agreed that a woman can work, okay? Because here she wrote I. This is the person who wrote this. So this will be the shape of the essay which she wrote, okay? So this is what we have in front of us: the first paragraph, the second paragraph, and the last one. So this is the layout of our of our essay. Now my student wrote this, and this is very good piece of writing, okay? If you write this in the exam, if you write it like that, you will get, let's say, 5/10, okay? But there is another way in order to make this 5/10, let's say 7 or 8. So there is a way to improve our writing. Remember when we said that we have to try to improve our writing, and how to earn more marks. So these are the ideas, and because of these ideas you will get 5/10, let's say, or 5.5. But of course, if you edit your work, you read it again and you try to correct it. And again, remember we talked about how to edit our work. We have to look at capitalization. We have to look at punctuation, which is very easy to get. Also, we have to look at the spelling. And again, when we deal with grammar, we have to look at subject-verb agreement and the tenses, okay? And sure, you have to look at each paragraph and you try to find the topic sentence. You have to find the topic sentence which is there. So now I will give you just 2 minutes to have a look at this paragraph or this essay, and you try yourself to correct whatever you have. First, in the stage of editing, you try to look at one thing at a time. Let's say if you are going to look at the punctuation, you look at the punctuation all through the essay. Okay, you put your punctuation. Of course, when we talk about punctuation, we look at capital letters, we look at full stops, commas. If you have a question, you put question marks, and so on. Then when you edit again, you read again, and let's say you are going to look at if you are going to look at spelling, then you look at the spelling of the whole essay. If you are going to look at the tenses, you look at the tenses of the whole essay, and so on, okay? So you don't try to look at all these items together. Just concentrate on one for the moment, okay? So I'm going to give you now 2 minutes. Just have a look at this and try to correct it. Okay. Yeah, I'm sure that by now you have finished. So let's look at our piece of writing or our essay after it is edited. So our first paragraph is going to be like that, of course. Now, as you can see, this is the final copy, okay? My student edited she did all the whole process of editing, okay? She did all the 4 points or 5 points which we were talking about, and this is our final copy, okay? So the first thing is that women, as you can see, of course, whatever she corrected is done in another color for you to see. Women, of course, this is capital letter because this is the beginning of the sentence. Again, we have here children, we have a full stop, and then of course we have they. This is another sentence, so we start with capital letter. So after society, you have a full stop, a, start capital letter. Again, after home, this is another sentence, so women, capital letter. And this is for the capitalization, okay? Then what she did is, of course, she looked at the punctuation, and here, of course, after each sentence, she put here a full stop there, a full stop here, and a comma here, okay? Because before so, we need to put a comma. And then at the end of the paragraph, there is a full stop. And then we have, of course, at the beginning of the paragraph, you should leave space. The first line, you have to leave space and move in the line a bit, so it shows that this is the beginning of your paragraph. Again, she looked at the spelling mistakes, and we have here spelling mistake in children. Of course, it was written wrong. Also, we have here a spelling mistake in woman. It was not written correctly. Intelligent. This is another spelling mistake, okay? Then she looked at, of course, the subject-verb agreement, and it was wrong here. We have women are, so it was written something else. So she had women plural, then the verb are. Of course, this is the plural also. Again, we have here they, because she was talking about women. So here plural, then their children, again, should be plural, okay? And they, because I'm talking about women, plural, so it should be they, okay? And of course, this what we call subject-verb agreement. So this is how she edited the first paragraph. Then again, the second paragraph, as you can see, she moved inside because of the space, and she did the same thing. So we have capital O on the other hand, okay? And of course here capital A, all, capital W, women, of course. So this is capitalization. Again, if we look at the punctuation, you will find that you have here after this sentence a full stop, because I start a new sentence with new ideas. Here again a full stop because I have, this is the end of my sentence, have more ideas or another idea, and at the end of the paragraph there is a full stop. Also, she corrected children because this was a spelling mistake, and of course look after, it was written in a wrong way. Look, it was L-O, 1-O, and then she corrected, okay? And of course here house also was written in a wrong way, or in a spelling, the spelling was wrong, and earn, the spelling was wrong. So again, this is the way she edited her writing, piece of writing. So this is paragraph 1 and paragraph 2. And then this is her last paragraph, and this is how she edited it also. She left the space, remember. And again, we have here capital letter, finally. And so this is all one sentence, the paragraph, and be careful, the last paragraph is the shortest because this is giving your own opinion, so it shouldn't be so long, yeah? Also, if we looked at the punctuation, she had to put a comma here, yeah, and another comma there, okay? And again, she corrected the spelling. She can do many. Okay, if we have many, this is plural, then it should be things. Then there should be the plural S in things. Okay, and again, she put here they because women, she was talking about women, plural, so then the pronoun should be they. Okay, and I think that's it. So now this is our piece of writing after editing, and this, after editing, you can gain more marks. So now, as you can see, things are not so difficult. It's the way how to capture your ideas, how to write your ideas, how to form the sentences using the ideas you had, okay, and then at the end how to correct your word, how to improve your work. So let's read what we have here very quickly. Women can do lots of jobs and also can look after their children. They work in many jobs to improve their position in society. A woman is educated to help her country and not to sit in her home. Women are intelligent, so they will help better their family's position and earn more money. On the other hand, working women may not have time to look after their children. All the money they earn will give to the maid in order to take care of the house. Women can do without men because they can earn their living. Finally, women can do many things, and if they can work and look after their homes, then let it be. So I agree about women's work. So, of course, because I'm a female, I'm a woman, so definitely I personally agree to the working of a woman because she can just do lots of things. Okay, so this is how we do writing, an essay. So now I think after that you wouldn't be afraid of the question of writing. And if they tell you write an essay of 120 words, you can write more. Okay, if you just look at the essay we have in front of us, it can be more than 120 words. Okay, so don't worry. First of all, try to remember that you have to do pre-writing process, which is thinking, writing the ideas, and then how to capture your ideas, how to use diagrams, how to use tables, how to use circles if you are comparing. Then you write the writing process itself, which is of course writing or forming your sentences and paragraphs, using these sub-ideas and try to link them with the main idea. And it will be, after that, you are going to write your work of essay. Then try to edit your work by reading it, correcting it, and looking at capitalization, punctuation, and so on. And of course, as you can see, this is the final. So of course, this is the one written without any editing, and of course, the one which we looked at now after editing. So which one do you think is better? This one or that one? So of course, you try always to edit your work, okay? So I hope by now essay writing is not something difficult, okay? So now we are going to look at writing an email, which is a new topic in your exam of writing. You are going this year in the coming exam after less than a month, you are going to be asked to write an email. First of all, what is an email? Of course, an email, it means an electronic mail. So as you can see from the illustration, it's a message, a letter going from one computer to another computer. And of course, I know that all of you know what is meant by an email. You either write an email to your friend or your teacher. I know my students, they always send me emails. which they just do their homeworks and they send me their homework through an email. So now we are going to look at how to write an email. What are the things we should do when we write an email? What are the things we shouldn't do when we write an email? Okay? So we are going to look at do's and don'ts. Now we are going to look at do's. So we have here do's while writing an email. Things you are to do when you write an email. Okay? First, you have to use an informative subject line which says what the email is about. So you have to go straight and talk about your email, whatever you want to say in the email, okay? And it should be very clear. Second, write the most important information first, because of course, as you know, an email is a very fast way of just sending and receiving messages. So you should write the most important information first. Use numbers and bullet points to make the message clearer. So in order to make the message very clear, you are to use numbers or bullet points. And now we are going, after we look at these, we are going to have an example of an email, and you'll find whatever we are talking about there mentioned, okay? Don't worry. Use simple grammar. And why is that? And also avoid things like the passive. As emails are a fast means of communication, they tend to be less wordy and complex than formal letters. So try to look at this word, less wordy. You have to write whatever you want to say, and it should be clear and simple, okay? You don't have to write lots of words, lots of things, and try to avoid complexity, okay? So it's not complex. Try to write short sentences, okay? So again, it should be clear. And how to be clear about something? By writing short sentences, not long sentences which people will just would find it difficult to understand. Use paragraphs to keep the email clear and easy to understand. Again, when you write your email, you try to use paragraphs. It can be as short as a paragraph of 2 lines, no problem. Or 2 lines and a half, again, no problem. But you try to use paragraphs to make it clear and of course easy to understand. A person reading an email will read it as fast as possible, because this is, as we said, is a fast way of communication. So the do's while writing an email, what you should do, use an informative subject line which says what the email is about. Write the most important information first. Use numbers and bullet points to make the message clearer. Use simple grammar. And of course, write short sentences. Use paragraphs to keep the email clear and easy to understand. Now let's look at an example we have. Write an email to Mr. Jones asking about the language summer courses they offer. You are interested in improving your writing skills during summer, i.e. vacation. So, of course, here, if you, as you say, write an email, this is our topic, okay? So we have, remember when we said, when we were talking about writing an essay, we have to read the topic once and reread it. So now we are going to reread it and look at it carefully. So, write an email to Mr. Jones. This is the person who is going to receive your email, Mr. Jones. What to say? Asking, okay, look at this word, asking about the language summer courses they offer. So we have here language summer courses. Okay, and of course they here refers to whom? To, of course, Mr. Jones and where he works. So, and where do you think he works? If we are going to summer courses, the language summer courses, then it means that he can be working in a school or a university or institute, okay, where they just teach language. And then you complete. You are interested in improving your writing skills during summer, okay? So of course, what type of language summer courses? Of course, which deals with writing skills, okay? Of course, language, yeah? During summer, so it means that you are not going to study there for the whole year, so it's only during summer, and here i.e. vacation. So it's during your free time, okay? So now after we read the topic well, and we try to understand it well, we have to capture our ideas. The main points here is, of course, asking about the language summer courses. So you need to ask about them. And you have to tell this person that you are interested in improving your writing skills. So these are the two things you have to use or to concentrate about while you are writing your email. So now let's look at the email together. Again, my student did that, and we are going to look at it together. Of course, they tell you write an email to Mr. Jones. So when you write an email, you are going to start by saying, Dear Mr. Jones. Don't forget that we have to put a comma after Mr. Jones, okay? And of course, Mr. Jones, after Mr. you have to put a full stop. Sometimes people don't, but it's better to put a full stop. And of course, capital D for dear, capital M for Mr., and capital J for Jones. Remember, this is not your friend, so you have to say Mr. Jones, okay? You may not see this person, you are just writing to inquire about something. So, of course, as we said, you try to make it as short and to the point. So from the beginning, you will not say, I need to know about your family and your life and things like that. This is wrong, okay? From the beginning, you go immediately into your main idea. So here it said, I'm a high school student from the UAE, and I'm writing to get some information about your language courses this summer. This is what is the main idea of the email. So you go straight and you start writing immediately from the beginning about getting some information about your language courses this summer, okay? And then, of course, you have some questions, and the other person is going to write to answer you back. So you have to say, I've got a few questions. This is what we said, you used numbers to make things easy for the person who's reading. So the first question, do you do a course for high school students which helps them with their essay writing skills? So here you are talking about writing, remember? So again, from the beginning, the first point you are going to say writing and improving writing, essay writing skills. How many hours a week are the courses? So again, if you are asking, you want to know more information, you are asking about the courses, you are asking about the hours, okay? And then number 3, what sort of accommodation do you offer? And we mean by accommodation is the place for students to live in, okay? What after-school activities are there? So again, the students will go to learn most of the day. What will happen after school? Are they going to go visiting museums? Are they going to go sightseeing? What after-school activities? Do you do any trips to other towns in the UK? Because this person is going to go to the UK from the UAE, and he's going to go to the UK in order to improve his writing skills. So now, and then he's going to say, I'm hoping to come over in June. So if you can get back to me as soon as possible, it would be great. Here, at the end, as you can see, to get back to me means to answer me back, Okay, so of course if he's sending an email, then he's going to wait for an answer. Okay, so get back to me means to answer me back. Then you can say, you have to say thanks for your help, best regards, and you have to write your own name, and in this case we have Ahmed Khalid. Okay, so if we look at the email, you are going to find it that at the beginning you write to the person you have to write to, dear Mr. whatever. At the end you have to write your own name because this person is going to send you back an answer. Okay, again from the beginning you start to say whatever you want at the very first sentence, and then you try to make things clear by just using numbers, or it can be bullets. Also, as you can see, the email is very clear in its form. We have one paragraph here and then some questions, another paragraph which is the end. Again, as you can see, the paragraph is about 2 lines only, and then you have to thank the person and you just write your name. Also, as you can see, the sentences are very simple, okay, short sentences. Also, the tenses, as you can see, they can be in the present simple or the present continuous, okay, or the I've got. This is again present perfect. Okay, so things are clear. And when you write an email, things should be clear. You have to clear things as hard or as much as you can. You don't write lots of things. You have to go immediately to the point. And in the exam, they are going to tell you, to ask you to write this email of about 20 to 40 words. So be careful, it's not so long. Now, let's look at don'ts while writing an email. Things you are not to do. Write hello as your subject line. So please don't write hello as your subject line, okay? So don't start your email by saying hello. Again, don't write about irrelevant issues. The reader will soon hit delete if the email doesn't get to the point. So you have to stick to the point. So it's not a good thing to write about irrelevant issues, about things which has nothing to do with the topic of your email. Again, don't give personal information that you don't want anyone else to know. The email could end up in the wrong hands. And of course, sometimes we do that. Sometimes you send an email to a person and you find that this person did not receive it because you forgot a dot or something, and so it went to another person. So it's not good to write personal information. Again, don't use capital letters to write whole words as in emails. This is considered shouting. So you just use capital letters for at the beginning of the word only. But some people, they just use the whole words to be capital letter. And this is, of course, something which is not good. And in an email, it is considered as shouting at the person. Don't use different fonts in the email. Okay, because of course the person who's receiving your email, his computer may not be compatible, may not receive these fonts. So you try the font, of course, you know that it is like the handwriting, okay, the way, the shape of the words. Again, don't use italics. And of course, I think you know what is meant by italics when the shape of the word is a bit not straight. Okay, we call that italics, and the reason may be misunderstood due to to cultural differences. Some places they feel that if you write in italics, this is something which is not nice. Don't use exclamation marks. Don't use abbreviations like COS or UNI, as the recipient may not understand them. Of course, it's easy for you. I know that most of you just use COS to say because, Okay, but again, sometimes the person, the recipient or the receiver may not understand what is meant by this abbreviation. Because I know that you use this cause and uni when you do chatting, and there are lots of other abbreviations. So this is only used in chatting when you just talk with or use them with the person, like in chatting or just speaking in words. Okay, but in an email, please don't use that. Don't use acronyms like BTW for the same reason. The person may not understand them. What are acronyms? Acronyms, they are, let's say, some letters which we take from words, and they can mean something. Okay, like let's say we have UNESCO. This is an acronym. WHO. This is again another acronym. Like BMW, let's say, the car brand. Okay, brand. This is an acronym, and so on. So it's not nice to use acronyms because the person who may receive your email would not understand what do you mean by these acronyms. Again, don't use similes, and for the same reason they may not be understood, or they may be misunderstood and come across as unprofessional. A person who's writing this email is not a professional one. And I think all of you know what we mean by similes. So by this we come to the end of our lesson, and again, so try to feel that writing is not as difficult as you think. Okay, and the new thing this year is, of course, writing an email, which is not so difficult, but I think by now it's not so difficult. Okay, remember to look at writing as a process, which have a pre-writing process or a pre-writing stage, and then writing stage, and then post-writing. Things are easy. Try to concentrate well and think hard and read the topic once, twice, and 3 times. Get every information you need. Just write all the ideas you have in your mind, and then after writing, try to edit and make things correct as much as you can. And it's easy to get in your writing, let's say 8 or 9/10. It can be very easy. Thank you. By this we come to the end of our lesson. I hope you enjoyed it and you knew how to deal with essay writing and writing